The New York Liberty, high aspirations for another championship run, but if it happens, they're going to have to come from the basement. Well, almost the basement, because they're in 12th place right now, but it's a 15-team league, so there you go. It's not as bad as it could be. We're going to break down the first 7 games of the New York Liberty season, and we are going to get to know all things about our special guest, Ari Chambers. All of that and more coming up on today's episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans.
Gotta get up.
Gotta get up.
I gotta get up.
Gotta get up.
Oh yeah.
New York.
Oh yeah.
New York.
Hey, women's basketball fans, welcome to Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans brought to you by Black Rosie Media. I'm Erica L. Ayala.
And I'm Brian Florenson.
And we're your New York Liberty experts and co-hosts. We've covered the 2024 championship run and followed your favorite players all the way to the Paris Olympics.
Every episode, we bring you game recaps, the latest news and transactions, and exclusive interviews with Liberty players and coaches from the past, present, and future that you won't hear anywhere else.
We're building a community for fans who love this game as much as we do. So whether you're part of the Barclays faithful or tuning in from afar, we bring you closer to your
New York Liberty.
Yeah.
I never get tired of that song.
I just immediately wanted to grab an E sign as I just grab a latte instead. Either way, very characteristic.
Either way. Speaking of the E sign, I mean, I remember when you sent me this.
Not the pictures on cue.
look, and I don't know if you've noticed, but the E sign in this photo is the same E sign in the updated Gotta Get Up logo. So
that is so funny.
there you are. You
That
are
is
part
so-
of the
he is
show.
obviously for Erica. Duh.
Clearly. Well, we're gonna get into that because I met you, I guess, right after you transitioned from Torch
Yeah.
Patrol.
Yeah, that had to be like 2018 because that was the year we did all those road trips to Mohegan. But this is not about Connecticut.
Connecticut. We were like, oh my gosh, we could go to Connecticut, and every single time we would get in the car and be like, why did we do this? This is terrible.
Why do we drive in the middle of nowhere? But it's fine.
It's fine.
No shade. I love
It's fine.
I love Connecticut.
Well, we are going to talk a little bit more in detail about your journey. We're going to talk about the New York Liberty. We have to talk about WNBA 30, and then we'll field questions and comments like we always do. But Ari, I mean, I have a few different ways I could introduce you, like throwback S Club 7 fan.
Ain't nobody like
Hey, oh, come on. I could say, there are just so many things. We got to get her, loving on lotion a little bit more.
You know me way too well. That is so funny. Everybody's like, you look like you smell like shea butter and what? I'm like,
we can introduce more shea butter into your life. But I mean, for 30 under 30, you have pioneered what it means to cover and advocate for women's sports. You continually use your voice to lift other people up as you continue on in your journey. But Ari, I like to ask a question when I do interviews. I'll put it this way. When did you fall in love with women's sports?
Oh, that was way back when. I would say around 97, 98, because I'm from Raleigh. And if you're from Raleigh, especially in the 90s, that Coach K-Yao ran things. And so we were able to go to NC State women's basketball games and see the players. And back then, I mean, we've dated ourselves with S Club 7, but let's just continue to date ourselves since we're here. The trading cards, they used to hand out trading cards that you could rip and hand to players to sign. And so it didn't matter how many games I had been to, I was going to get those trading cards. I was going to get them signed every time. And they were just so nice to me. And so I just fell in love with NC State women's basketball. It just so happened to be that they had a season like they've had the past few years where they were wildly successful. They made it to the Final Four around that time too. So they were really good. And I saw a woman head coach in that position and just demanding or commanding the respect, the respect of everybody being a woman. And this was like the height of her and Sylvia Hatchell days where everything was just great with 919 basketball. So fell in love with women's basketball first. And then obviously 92 and 96 Olympics, particularly 96, in seeing Dominique Dawes' impact and how she was able to represent for gymnastics. Because back then I was a gymnast. Like that was while I was doing gymnastics and cheerleading simultaneously. And then just all the sports just added up. And I'm like, everything I love is women, like women's sports. And so like it was almost my default. And that was like when Mia Hamm was somewhere in the 919 area. It was
yes, that's right.
Women's sports. I mean, we will never claim that as excellence, but whatever. But yes, soccer and UNC. I'll give y'all a lot of things, okay? But y'all always try to come from NC State. Anyway, but the point is, everything great was coming out of the 919 area that was women's sports, and that's what made me love it.
Wow. See, I love that you brought it back to the 919 because you did do a little promo on TikTok specifically. Raise up, PD Pablo. As you know, Ari, I do have an attachment to North Carolina from my college days. Go eat.
She's a distinguished one. She's in the Hall of Fame. Don't let her downplay this. Don't let her downplay it.
This is what we do. This is what we do. Mildly embarrass each other, but in the best way possible.
Girl, bask in your greatness, child.
Thank you. And we will be basking in all of the greatness that is the WNBA 30th season. I got my Cheryl Swoops shirt on. But before we get to that, man, listen. And I mean, I just see a lot of emojis. Y'all can interpret this as you want to, but I do think the Liberty Bibberty fans have a lot of questions right now, Ari Chambers, and I think the questions are valid. So 3 losses in Brooklyn. I mean, this is a team that people have winning a title and to the gate stumbling. And yes, we know about the injuries, and yes, we know about the setbacks and all of that. But I mean, right now there are more questions than answers. And so we're going to kind of dive into if we think this is fair critique and criticism and what is kind of the crux of this kind of slow start for the New York Liberty. But first, let's go back to yesterday. It was the 3rd straight loss. We heard from Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, and of course, head coach Chris DeMarco. And they had some interesting things to say, as did some of the other players that we'll get into. So let's hear from them, and then we'll start breaking it down.
Talked a lot through training camp and even the first week and a half about this is going to take time to come together. Is this what you expected when you said that?
No, definitely not. It's a learning experience for everyone. Nobody expected this. And not to say that we thought it was going to be easy, because we definitely didn't. But it's going to take time, and there's going to be highs and lows. And while it seems like we're in the lows right now, eventually we'll get to a place where everybody's really confident and comfortable in what's going on. And maybe it's happening early and not late. I know we did a lot of wrong things tonight, but I thought that our fight and effort was definitely better than what it was last night, for sure.
We had some ill-advised turnovers, some things that we kind of could have taken care of to help secure that lead going into late into the fourth quarter. But I think defensively, I think we still have like a whole other level that we can take it to as well. But I think, again, it's just taking care of the basketball and giving ourselves the opportunity to get shots at the rim.
We were happy with our defense until that fourth quarter, obviously, and JJ said it, 19 turnovers for 23 points. I mean, that's the game. There's no defense for turnovers. We made a lot of plays off of them. Like we gave a lot of effort, which Stu touched on. But yeah, that's going to kill you.
So we're going to hear a little bit more specifically from Chris DeMarco about some updates on Satu Sabali. But I mean, there you go. 19 turnovers, Ari, that's wild.
I want to get back to where he said they kind of fell apart in the fourth quarter. And when you go against a Portland team, I believe they have the second most fourth quarter points in the league right now. You know that this is a strong fourth quarter team. Your effort doesn't need to falter during a time where a team is peaking, right? Portland has a way, I think Sue Bird said this on broadcast, has a way of wearing you down. They know how to finish. And New York has faced the opposite problem of not being able to have sustained effort and energy for the entire 40. And it comes in different pockets in different games. You never know when it's going to show up, the body language, the lack of, getting back, just I don't necessarily know where the lapse comes from, but you can see it physically in person breaking down. And it's in different parts of the game. But this one just so happened to be in the fourth quarter, because in the third quarter, they came out swinging. I don't know what the heck was said in that locker room.
In the locker room.
Stewie got the girls, okay? But just to know that they're going against such a strong fourth quarter team and not being able to stay disciplined. And obviously the turnovers are going to be a problem. If you don't take care of the basketball, bad things are going to happen. I think Portland got 23 points off of 19 Liberty turnovers. It just it's a recklessness of the ball. And especially when you have such skilled players, you would anticipate a little bit more discipline in maintaining your possession and making sure that you don't have these careless turnovers. But I really think that they fell apart when they faced a team that knew how to finish, when they just kind of just depleted their defense.
I mean, you're talking about effectively not being able to put a complete game together.
Yes.
And listen, we got Amir in the house. Hey, Amir, we've got some of our regulars here. The sky is not falling.
Yeah.
All will be okay. And
I do. No, but Erica, I do. I want to stop right there because I am one that doesn't panic before All-Star break. Like I remember last year when the Aces were going in that skid, I was like, y'all, they will be fine. And I think everybody was looking at me crazy. This is a team where they said that they made adjustments in the offseason. They want players who are able to read and react faster. They want players with just better IQ. And I think that they have a very talented group that hasn't been able to see the floor together.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you said we know about the health situations, but that is not something to be understated. Like, when you have Satu out on cyst and illness, when you have Sabrina with her foot injury, when you have Betnaja out for personal reasons, when you have Leo that hasn't even come in, we are not even seeing New York in their full form, in their full roster. They're not able to establish the chemistry that they need as a core group yet because the group isn't together. So everybody relax. But in the meantime, they can't fall into this deficit because of the parity of the league right now. I mean, even the most unassuming rosters, like Portland, is able to get it together. And Cheryl Reeve has been able to do this in the past few years. And Coach Tebow was able to do it with the Mystics, put together some unassuming names to make a strong team. And so what I see in Portland is like a powerhouse is playing with like great fits within, and that they have really nothing to lose. And they're an expansion team. They kind of have the mindset of the Valkyries last year. But when you have more parity than we've seen in the past, you can't afford to do this skid that the Liberty is doing right now. But there are reasons why it's skidding that you can point to and be like, there's no team. However,
for sure. Yes. And, the Satu thing has been puzzling just because it unfortunately has been illness. We know that she is recovering or has been recovering from a concussion that looks really bad. It was
a long-term concussion. It was a long-term. It was much longer than they anticipated. Yeah.
Yes. So again, here's Chris DeMarco just on why Satu Sabally only played 4 minutes in last night's game.
Can we get an update on Satu?
Yeah, it's an illness. She wasn't feeling well.
Was that something that came on when? Because she came out.
I think she wasn't feeling well in the first quarter, and
I mean, so that's really all we know.
Yeah,
as of right now,
that doesn't give us any just insight on how bad the illness is. Obviously, we don't move from a point of speculation, but Satu's health has been a concern for a while now. Just even before the concussion has been a concern for a while now. So you have to call in the play if you're going to want to make a long run, if you're going to want to make a championship run, and you have players that aren't necessarily healthy. How realistic is that? However, Satu, when she is playing, and to the power of and Satu, when she is playing, so talented. I mean, the talent matches the red lip, honey. It's giving, the talent is matching the red lip. But it would behoove the Liberty to make sure that she is feeling okay.
And it's not just her aunt. It's not just Satu, right? This is the status report for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sabrina Ionescu, questionable. But Najalani Hamilton, what?
Hamilton.
Excuse me. Hamilton. But Najalani Hamilton is questionable with a personal matter. We talked about Satu, and then Marine Fato also, but she's a development player.
She's development, but it's fine.
Yeah, but we have not seen Raquel Carrera make her debut yet. Leonie Fibic has not made her season debut yet. So we know it's this in and out. What I find interesting is this is what plagued the Liberty at the end of last season with Sandy Brondello. And now it is kind of coming into this new season with new head coach Chris DeMarco. And some of this is just circumstance, assist, a concussion. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Some personal things with Sabrina, an unfortunate injury in the preseason. But I do think that puts some wear and tear. And Stewie talked about this in the post game. And she was asked about herself, but she made sure to mention Jonquel Jones as well, who I think she just got her first double-double last night. But we know that statistically speaking, the New York Liberty win games when Jonquel Jones gets a double-double.
But now they have a threat of or an addition of a more developed Hanzu. So I'm like, Han is really doing her big one. She's you can see the growth in her game. So they can benefit from that. And I do think that there needs to be Stewie and CD said this in the post-game presser, saying that they need to move with a little bit more sense of urgency, but it's hard to move with a sense of urgency at one, at the beginning of the season, and two, when you don't have your full team and you're trying to figure out your bearings. It is a new staff, and I don't want to keep making excuses for them, but JJ and her double-doubles, they're going to need right now.
Absolutely.
Offensively, they have. I mean, Marine to me is such an offensive powerhouse when she makes it, but she can also skew into the liability part, right? So it's like, as much as you're scoring, are you turning the ball over? And she's very aware of that. And I think that she's trying to find her role as she's filling in the gaps when the roster is not complete, because she's capable of scoring. She's capable of being a bucket. But I think that in her mentality, she's like, what's the best option? And oftentimes it's just trying to maneuver that. That's a very delicate balance to have, because she can be clutch.
Right. And she talked about that. She said she spoke to her coaching staff before yesterday's game. And she also alluded to seeing some of the comments and perhaps that it affecting her when people are asking or observing that she's maybe not scoring at a consistent clip. And she sounds like she and her coaching staff want to give her grace. And what we know about Marine, and this is something that Sandy Brondello worked with her on, is that the confidence is something that you really have to refine with Marine Johannes. And so I see that happening again. And Marine is being asked to be a little bit more of a playmaker. And you can hear in her comments from last night that she's trying to maneuver between not being selfish, and setting up the great players that she has on the team, while also understanding that those great players, options open for them when she plays her role. And she was asked about that. Oh my gosh. Mwah. How beautiful was that pass to JJ? The MJ to JJ.
I mean, just ridiculous.
It was
ridiculous.
Insane. It was insane.
She's just flashy for no reason, but I love to watch it. It's like when it goes well, it's like clip it all up, make it a highlight reel.
Like she's a walking highlight reel. But it was, so she was asked about that, and she's like, honestly, I can't even tell you about that right now, because she was still very much in the turnovers, and there were some noticeable turnovers from her, and 19 turnovers for 20 some odd points. I mean, that's the difference in the game, and then some. So, I mean, I think for Marine, it's just continuing to pour into her. Now, this is where things get tricky, because we're saying all of this, we're providing all of the caveats. Now, listen, Damien, I'm gonna come to you, Damien. I'm gonna come to you, because all of this is true, and this is a team that prioritized their big three. They added Satu. And I'm going to tell you right now, nobody feels bad for the New York Liberty.
No.
Nobody feels bad for the New York Liberty. So Damien saying for the Liberty to lose to Portland like that was very inexcusable and unacceptable. And while there are circumstances that maybe in totality led to 3 losses, there are in each individual game, but at least 2 of the Portland games, things where the New York Liberty in the first game, oh sweet baby Jesus, box out.
Yeah, I know how you feel about boxing out. Erica. Y'all don't know how passionately Erica screams box out all throughout the games. But yes. Yes, I agree. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm looking at the box score right now and like, yes, the boxing out absolutely matters, but what's really glaring, oh my gosh, hold on. Yeah, they definitely got okay. Anyway, what's really glaring is nobody was in the plus of the plus minus for the Liberty. Not a single person. And even the shot attempts, 75 to 52. It's just so lopsided because of those just not being able to convert, not being able to convert.
They're not converting. The shot selection is not great right now.
No,
it's not great. And you mentioned Han Zhu, and again, loyal listeners, you know how I feel about Han. Never really saw the perfect, like I never really was like, this is a player for New York.
Yeah.
I see the potential. Is it a player for New York? I have been more impressed than years past, but I feel like you're gonna know what I mean when I say this. Right now, Jonquel Jones and Han Zhu have a little bit of an Amanda Zawi B problem, and it's a problem only because they are the height on this team, and they're taking shots more often than not. First looks from the perimeter. Now, Han had 8 points, if I'm not mistaken, last night, and she had back-to-back buckets 2 feet in the paint. Jonquel Jones started getting fed again, that MJ play, 2 feet, and Amanda Zawi B, I loved that she could shoot and she was ahead of her time in New York and just in the WNBA. But when you're having difficulty maintaining possessions, when you're having difficulty on the block, why not utilize your size and your strength to get an easy bucket? And I don't see that happening enough with the New York Liberty.
Just the last game in itself, as just to add context to you all out there, points in the paint, 36 to 26. And when you're outsizing your opponent like that, but just getting less paint points, that's just not a good indicator that you're getting the ball in the right spots. It just isn't.
Exactly.
But I will say, Beck did say after the game that it's interesting because we all know what the positions are supposed to be, but they love the new offense because it gives them the green light. So I don't know if it's like a structural offense that they need to develop as opposed to this like one-on-one situation. But it seems to be they prefer a more chaotic offense as opposed to setting something up. That's what they prefer.
Yes.
That type of offense.
No, you're 100% correct. That is definitely a part of it. And this is the double-edged sword, right? Because players like Maureen Johannes, for example, will thrive in that. But I think that it's hurting this team when it comes to settling back in defensively. The defensive effort is not always there. Now, it was interesting to hear Chris DeMarco say that he liked the defensive effort, up until the fourth quarter. I think, honestly, I would remix that to say I liked the defensive effort in the third quarter.
Yeah.
I don't want to say up until the fourth because like the first half, can someone stop the ball? Just stop the ball.
Yeah, no, and the players would agree with you because whenever I believe it was Jackie Powell asking the question, but when she said Chris DeMarco said he was pleased with your defensive effort, it was kind of like they were taken aback. So they're very aware. Yeah. They're very aware of their
Gardner
effort.
Was like, oh, okay.
But she's so cute. She's just gonna cover it up. But they're very well aware of what they need to do defensively and just being a lot more disciplined in that.
Yeah, well, we know it is a long haul for this New York Liberty squad, and they have the talent. I think they need a little more of the will. You're gonna see they're taxing a lot on Stewie. She played with 3 fouls and had to work through what I thought was, how shall I say, an interesting whistle at points in this game. Jonquel Jones did get the double-double, but at times, even her effort, I think she definitely ramped it up in the second half. But at times, sometimes JJ can get a little lost. We've talked to her about this. It's nothing that she hasn't identified within herself and the frustration. I think she's definitely worked on curbing, when necessary, the outward expression of frustration. That being said, now it's about how is she internally making sure, like Stewie, I think Stewie does a great job of, oh, y'all are going to critique me on my 3-point shot and my 3-point percentage, but did you see me play defense? But did you see me stop the ball? But did you see me in a series against Phoenix where I came back from a significant knee injury that I was the only one driving to the paint? Did you see that? Did you see that? Like, I want to see JJ figure that out what is that for JJ? What can she anchor herself in? And I think it seemed like she started to do that and getting more touches in the paint. I still believe, even if you want to call it a more fluid, a positionless, whatever offense, you need to get Jonquel Jones very specifically touches early in the shot clock. Now,
Yeah,
whether
I
she
mean,
takes
New York
that
has
shot-
too much length to be acting like this, to not be in the paint. They too much length.
Too
Between
much.
High, JJ, I mean, Stewie obviously is just can score wherever, but the length on this team, Beck, Beck's obviously out trash shooter. But the point is, the length is there in order to make it happen, in order to outsize the opponents.
I like this. Also, it's very apropos that Al Page put this in the chat. Someone on Thread said those losses are like paper cuts. They sting and are annoying, but not overly concerning because stitches are not required. Perfect
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. I would say just give them time to, I mean, I know I'm overly optimistic. I tend to lean that way, even as an analyst, but give them time to get, first of all, to see if they can be healthy this year and to get the roster that they had set their sights on to contend for a championship this year. Then, if we're talking about like mid-June, early July, and they're still losing these type of games in this way, then we can have a very different conversation.
And, we see Albert Jimenez saying Raquel Carrera is a fantastic low post player with excellent footwork, and she could assist with the scoring underneath the basket. We also know Fibic is going to come back. So, yes, we know there are pieces missing. And this roster was built to be positionless in a way that, at least on paper, it hasn't really worked as well before. So if that's the case, it's next player up. There's enough overlapping skill set here where the New York Liberty can definitely mitigate some of the things that are their Achilles heel right now, and the bugaboos or the paper cuts, right? They definitely have the skill to do that regardless of who's in the lineup. They, though, do have a tendency to lean a little bit too much on Brianna Stewart and even Sabrina Ionescu. I mean, when Stewie was out, it was Sab that was taking that on. But before we get to our next section here and segment, I do want to ask you, because you already mentioned it. You know how I feel about boxing out, so I want to get your thoughts, Ari, because I went off on one of our episodes. But what are your thoughts about Chris DeMarco? One, Chris DeMarco finding players for not boxing out, and two, Stewie of all people saying that she ain't like it.
I think it's a very instant way to get the players' attention. That's for sure. Hey, maybe we'll incentivize them to box out. It's a very, very practical way. It's like a swear jar.
There you go. And right now it's only $25. I was like,
it should be more, but don't be tearing them up anyway. But like the thing is, going into tomorrow's game, and you see Phoenix, they're also on a 3-game skid. New York is going to have to capitalize off this homestand, because morally alone, if you're first of all, you're home, you should be winning at home. Period. Like that's like a pride thing. Take care of the court, win at home, and if you can't rack up these wins on your home stand, and you can't rally around, especially this rematch of last season, then morally you're gonna have to have a little kumbaya and see like, hey, what can we do differently?
I know that's right.
Might be beyond basketball. I don't know.
I mean, because Ellie ain't throwing that elephant tail for y'all to be losing at
Okay, Ellie ain't on her hands and knees and upside down and clapping for nothing. Okay,
I mean, we ain't waving out here for y'all to be losing at home.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Well, listen, we're going to definitely have more on this, especially with Brian Florentin, who is my usual co-host. He is spending some time away outside of the country, but he will be back with the Women's Basketball Roundup. So this is how you can subscribe to the Women's Basketball Roundup twice weekly, no off season, coming directly to your inbox. The Women's Basketball Roundup, we're going to talk about the New York Liberty. We are going to talk about so many other things happening in the WNBA. So if you're not already subscribed, go on and do that. Subscribe to the Women's Basketball Roundup. Speaking of the WNBA, it's WNBA 30. Ari, we made it. We made it.
Literally, my laptop is shaking. I need to calm down.
I love this. I love this for the league. I love this for us. I love that we are seeing WNBA and just women's basketball legends.
Mm-hmm.
Grab the mic. Cheryl Miller is reminding y'all who the F Cheryl Miller is. She's reminding y'all that even though she did not step foot in the WNBA on a WNBA court as a player, that she's still that girl. She's still that woman. She's still a whole grown basketball player, breaking eggs, making jokes, breaking eggs, like the shake, the auntie, like the level of auntie that Cheryl Miller.
She's
is
such
giving
an auntie. Oh my!
is what I aspire it to be. You know,
She's
that's
such
my
an auntie.
nickname. That's my W nickname.
She kind of out auntie everybody for real.
I mean, and I'm not mad because you know I'm a young auntie.
Cheryl OG auntie, okay.
She OG auntie. You know, I'm really just entering my auntie era. I just claimed it earlier than most. But now, see, I got the real auntie on NBC, crushing it. I mean, we've got Cynthia Cooper. We've, of course, Renee and Lisa are everywhere.
And like Swin too. Come
on, Swin Cash. Come on now. I mean, I love that. That's one of my favorite storylines, given what I'm doing now. But there are so many things. I mean, the throwback jerseys, the Liberty Court. They brought Jason and Maddie back. Come on.
Okay. It's like it's giving 2017 MSG days and before. But I would say, like, I love seeing the legends of the game being able to speak about the game and just the wherewithal to hire them to speak about the game. That's it just shows a different level of intention. I've loved NBC's coverage. I've loved Ion's coverage. I've loved Amazon's coverage of just being new and innovative and refreshing. Because just being able to hear from the legends of the game and hear their perspective, and they can say a lot of things that we can't say, right? Like they can get away with a lot more than we can. And so having that is a good mix. That's a good mix up. And just the fun moments, even like the Sue Bird with Cheryl Miller, right?
Oh
like
my
Sue,
gosh.
Like Cheryl probably looks at Sue like a baby, right? But it just gives such more rich, unfiltered insight that we can't necessarily give. And that's not because we don't know what to say. It's because we just, you know, we won't in the gym shooting with them.
It's different.
Right. And then the fact that Maddie is back, a lot of people think that Ellie just, fell out of nowhere. She did. Shout out to the Liberty front office for really being intentional about Ellie's birth. But Maddie held it down. Before it was Ellie, there was a Maddie. And she held it down right there at 33rd and 7th, you know.
Listen.
I think she even went to Jersey too, you know, when they had those dark days, you know. Westchester, she's out here.
Well,
but
always.
Maddie held it down. Jason, an iconic host of the Liberty. And I love a throwback jersey. I'm glad we don't have to buy them off of eBay all the time now. Like we can actually just get them in retail, even though they're way more expensive there. But it's just a nod to the history because there's an influx of new fandom that doesn't necessarily have the interest to look back and see whose shoulders the new generation is standing on. And so just having the context of, hey, you know, it's 30 years in this thing, and there's a reason why it's lasted 30 years. And it's like having a Cheryl Miller there, even though she didn't step foot in the W as a player, like she's your goat's goat. Like this is a third generation goat here. And maybe developing a curiosity because NBC does show her highlights when she's on with them. So like just giving context into where this league came from and why it's the longest standing women's sports league in the domestic in the US. So like, I just love it. And honestly, I'm bringing back a jersey dress. I'm just going to get an extra large Liberty jersey and I'm tailoring it. And I'm going to.
Okay, y'all heard it here.
Patrol uniform is a little much, so I think I'm gonna just do a new Liberty jersey.
Well, we're gonna get into the Torch Patrol, but I love this, especially given what we're about to see in the. See, I don't even say NBA because it has dawned on me. I try to be respectful of people, and the men folk don't like when you call the NBA men's NBA. And, you know, I just try to be respectful of people. So the them NBA, the them NBA finals, we at least know that the New York Liberty, the New York Knicks.
Understood. We don't have to do this. I'm just hyped because I was a part of that system, even though I had the Inamelo through the KP era. So we did not make it to these months. And so I have a little resentment why you couldn't have the glory days back in 2015. But you know what? It is what it is.
Missed out on the insanity of it all. Listen,
Jesus.
listen, let's go back. But I love Cheryl Miller forever for punking her loudmouth little brother. And you know what I love? You know what I love the most is that Reggie, especially for New Yorkers, I know enough to know this when it comes to the WNBA. I know enough to know that Reggie Miller was persona non grata numero uno. Okay, that man would come in, and him and Spike, they might throw hands with the way that was going on, you know. But when it comes to Cheryl, Reggie knows there's nothing ever that he could do or say to win out on Big Sis. Like
knowing the place. We know a man who knows his place.
We love that. We love that, Reggie. We love that for you. That's right. Stay in your lane, because if Cheryl come through, stay humble.
That's goat Cheryl to you, Reggie. That's goat Cheryl
I know
to
that's
you.
right. I know that's right. Oh my gosh. No, but it's been amazing. And what else has been amazing is that this 30th season, and we're starting to see celebrations. It's coinciding with the sunset of the Connecticut Sun, and so they're starting to announce players that they're going to honor, including Jonquel Jones. But it also coincides with a brand spanking new and most comprehensive, from a salary perspective, collective bargaining agreement. I've been having this conversation on the women's hockey side. The last CBA was transformational, and it took care of the people at the top first. Now, I certainly have some thoughts about that. I can understand in a negotiation, in a bargaining, and then also just kind of depending on who's in leadership, that's what happened. Maybe that's what needed to happen. But it was 10 toes and some fingers and thumbs down when it came to this new CBA, to the point where we had a very short free agency period because these players held it down, including for the legends, getting them a payout as well. What are some of the things that you think, when it's all said and done, and when we're able to truly see this CBA in action, what stands out to you as far as this coming at such a critical moment and a milestone season in this league?
I was very I was very concerned about the mid-tier player. I'm glad that was at least brought up to a salary that's justifiable. Right. But what I look forward to most is exactly what you said: those former players getting compensated for their service throughout this league, and it just shows appreciation. A lot of them I know have left the game and have had a lot of medical situations that they've had to handle, and so maybe having the money help with that. I just love that you can honor the past players for their work, because it should have never been that low.
No,
I'm very glad that's the one thing that I'm like, yes. I'm glad that they found a balance of team housing with having a secured team housing for those that are younger. I think that it's still a long way to go, but I do want to challenge us as a fan group, a fandom, that those who do make millions in the game don't have their housing paid. And I understand why it's a very big issue with the W, because of how much movement there is. But if we're going to want to demand that high level of like payment, salary, you can't expect ownership to cover it. But the fact that they've come to an agreement, just a soft landing on that, I thought that was really admirable, because I don't know if I would have been able to know how to negotiate that. So just showing that part. But I do look at the last CBA as like everything that they should have already had, with like the one prior to the CBA, with the having your own housing when you're on the road, like maternal care, like different things like that. But I love that they're being compensated. I still think that there's a major gap, but at least they have respectable salaries no matter what contract you sign.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it is always going to be, or at least it seems like the trend is that it's a top heavy league when it comes to those payments.
It is.
And so it does beg the question, what does that next negotiation look like? Because again, those salaries have to come up. I think also you're looking at teams now having to carry 12 players on the roster, and they're being developmental players. I feel like the rollout we kind of we're stumbling a little to figure out what all of that looks like, kind of a la Kathy Engelbert did charter flights, because apparently all that talk about it needed to be ratified through the CBA was not real. She was like, no, we just gonna do it. Okay, cute, cool, tight. But we need to get a little more into the details with some of these things and really think about how it impacts the landscape, because developmental players, hardship contracts, 7-day emergency hardship contracts, that is still an extremely chaotic part of this ecosystem that lacks a true developmental league for these players, to use the term that you use, to have a soft landing place. When you have that chaos in like the MNHL, or even in the them NBA, with two-way players or taxi squads or two-way contracts, they can go somewhere else and still make us out. That's not happening in the WNBA.
I'm worried about players like a Kate Martin, who's clearly useful for the team, but there could be apprehension of like bringing her back, because you would have to waive her, and then she would have to make it through waivers in order to be signed for real. So it is a sticky thing, and I think like every first year of a contract, it's gonna be figuring it out, because this is something that I think developmental players kind of, they wanted to solve for not having a G League, and they wanted to solve for the roster expansion that everybody was demanding. And it just, we got to see how it plays out. But I do find that some of the developmental players probably shouldn't be on a developmental contract. They need to really be brought up. And the pay isn't as great as it seems. But if the whole point is opportunity and for you to get integrated in the system, it's a step in the right direction. I'm just worried about players like Kate Martin that are clearly more useful than a developmental contract.
Yeah, I would agree. Damian saying maybe the Liberty could use Kate Martin. I mean, maybe. Also, Damian saying, y'all messy out here. How about replacing Cheryl Miller, replacing DeMarco as head coach?
Give this man more than 7 games, y'all. Give him more than 7 games. What's wrong with y'all?
Oh man, listen, Amir, don't stoke the fire here. Let's go. Okay, we are quickly approaching our fourth quarter, which of course is our questions and comments. We of course have been keeping up with what you're putting in the chat, but if you have specific questions or comments that you would like us to address, now it's time to start typing.
Ask us anything. We're open books.
Anything. Okay, we heard it here. Ari said we open books. So let's go. But before we do that, we're going to get to know our guest, because as I like to say, Ari is so important. Ari is so important. You might have heard of the WNBA is so important, but here is the originator, none greater than Ari Chambers. Now, I've heard you tell this story over the years before, and there is a direct link to Swin Cash and a youth clinic and things of that nature. So first, I'll have you tell the story, and then, I would love for you to reflect now on how the WNBA is so important has become synonymous with WNBA coverage, and asking and demanding that WNBA coverage be even greater and better.
So I'll bring it back to 2016, when we, as Torch Patrol, were assigned to different athletes, and I was working with Swin Cash, and she wanted to get the attention of the group, and they weren't listening. So she started singing, "If you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention." It's a song from Sister Act. I think it was Sister Act 2, actually. And I just recorded it on my phone and posted it on Facebook, actually. And then after that, every single moment that I saw of athletes being great to specifically the community at that time, I would put it online and say the WNBA is so important. And it wasn't a question. It wasn't, anything that outside of being declarative. The WNBA is so important, just because I call things like they are. And then people started posting their own "the WNBA is so important" moments, and it just gained traction. And it was actually the 25th anniversary campaign. And I think that because of how declarative it was, how bold it was, how easy the SEO is for it, it was able to gain the traction it did and become a movement. And it's still something. It's something that everybody can use. It's very easy. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to do it. And yeah, I I can't break the news yet, but there's something special around that coming soon. So just be on the lookout for that.
Ooh,
Be on the lookout for that.
okay.
But just know
Period.
it was the 25th season, 25th anniversary season's campaign, but we're doing something special around it this season. So just
Okay, all right, y'all heard it here on Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. And then Ari had the crew, like she had us all come out in
y'all
Harlem.
pretending to a tweet. That was so fun.
Back when Twitter was Twitter. Oh man,
It was like the real Twitter, and it was
Real
so
Twitter.
fun. It was so fun.
It was a good time. It was a good time. And I mean, again, you've seen this kind of, you alluded to it, but it's on its own thing. When you see people utilizing it now, and even thinking about, everyone watches women's sports, we're starting to see, like you said, these declarative statements where it's not having to justify, it's not having to defend, it's just, we are in this space and this is what we do. I want to go beyond just the WNBA, because you've started to curate, and you're one of the OGs when it comes to really taking on all women's sports. And I know there's only a handful of us that deign to double dip, triple dip, quadruple dip, because it is extremely hard. And for so long, there was not a lot of money in the ecosystem. But I feel like the way that you started with your coverage in other sports and even hockey, yes, we got you to some hockey games. Thank you. I mean, I really do feel like, because of how you were able to position and storytell, that you've been a part of this wave. I mean, what does that feel like from your perspective to just see when we were, again, there? I had some photos on TikTok. We in Minnesota. How many? The mini five. It was at least five of us sharing an Airbnb.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
That we would sharing rooms, sharing Airbnbs, packing in cars, to now what we see today.
It is so humbling to look back, and me and Wayne laugh about this because it was just his little camera with me, and then you and me in our road trips, and Blake just giving us song suggestions and running around the cities. But to see it scale the way it has, that's exactly what we had planned. I think that for me, the reason why I decided to do all women's sports, I remember a softball player I was talking to, I was interviewing her, and I was talking about how the WNBA needs to get more money and they need a higher salary. And at that point, I think the W was making $70,000. She was like, I only make $5,000 a season. And so it just really challenged me to say, oh, the struggle, like the WNBA is at the tippy top. Now I have to figure out how to advocate for everybody else. And I'm a natural advocate and activist in that way. And so that's when I was like, okay, the only way I can do this is through amplification. And so the facilitation of stories and using my platform for them is why I was able to navigate those spaces. And also not coming from an expert. I know that's controversial to say as a journalist, but I was very much, when I entered the NWSL almost a decade ago, which is kind of crazy. I was like, okay, I'm clueless, y'all. Tell me everything. And I came from a student of the game and just listening to the athletes, listening to the fans, and being able to connect the dots and use the resources I had and the access that I had in order for the fans to feel seen, the players to tell me their stories, and me to understand the league comprehensively and grow from there. So I kind of grew with women's sports as well. The only thing I knew the back of my hand is basketball, volleyball, and gymnastics, period. But everything else I was able to learn along the way. I was able to learn hockey and softball from you. I was able to just really view what you all did too and just be a student. I think that that's lost when we are tasked with talking about sports for a living. A lot of times people automatically come to us as the experts, which is great because we are. That's why we're hired. But also, I want to make it very clear that some of the newer sports like water polo, I had to learn from Maggie and Ashley about that. They're a dynasty, and they were like, why don't you talk about us? I had to sit there and be a student of that before I was able to deliver that information. And because I'm willing to be a student, because I have that curiosity, that's what's led me to to be able to navigate all these spaces.
I mean, I hear you using terms like had to and like advocate and activist and things of that nature. And as you know, I come from that on more of the education and policy and political side. And it's something that I've had to learn. We were kind of talking offline about, transformations and things of that nature. But I wonder, Ari, I mean, what are the difficulties in taking all of that on, and how do you navigate those while also giving the energy that you give to women's sports? I mean, like, keep it real. Like,
no, I don't. I've imploded plenty of times, especially with the new wave of how it's scaled has been very difficult for me because I'm used to frankly being universally loved, and that was a big adjustment that I've had to do when you have people who are less educated about the space that they're entering. But whenever you advocate or organize around something that needs advocacy or organizing, you know what you're subjecting yourself to. Like, I never go on the front lines of a protest thinking that something won't happen to me. Like, I'm always strapped or prepared that way, right? Like, not like strapped, but like I'm always prepared. I'm prepared for any type of backlash that may come to me. Right? Relax. But anything that could come to the adversity that comes with being the voice of something, right? This even happened within a space where I'm comfortable, right? Like, think 2020 when I was being the mouthpiece for the players right before they went to the bubble. Like, I know the backlash that came from that. Like, it was awful. And I used to let things get to me, but I've learned how to repel them because I have to figure out where my energy deposits go. And I want to make sure that, because it's not an endless amount of energy, I want to make sure that I'm preserving it for the things that matter and the whole greater good. Like, take me out of it, take the flashing lights and everything out of it. The whole point is to grow the game. And so as long as I'm making strides towards growing the game, that fuels me. As long as an athlete is really happy with the way I put their story out, or like I provide a voice to people who haven't previously had a voice, that fills me. So that re-energizes me. But I really have had to I don't go on Twitter. Like, I might drop maybe 5 tweets a month now. Like, but Threads is my spot. Like, that's where I go. Threads and TikTok are like, that's where I'm at, because that's healthier for me. And so I've had to cut things off that aren't as healthy for me. Even though Twitter really made me, let's be very clear, Twitter really made my career and it gave me the leverage that I needed, but it's just not a healthy place to stay in. So I don't stay in places that aren't healthy either, because that doesn't help me, especially if I'm like going back and forth with people who don't want to build the game in the way that I see the game being built. Like, I'm just not going to waste my energy on that anymore.
Right. No, I feel that 100%. I mean, and the landscape is ever changing, ever evolving. Again, I think you were before the influencer wave, like for real.
Yeah. Cause we started this more like 2014. Like, this was before, because we didn't even have, like, I don't even think Instagram had videos back then. Like, that's why the things were on Facebook, like, seriously. And so, like, I'm lucky enough that I can bridge the generational gap and be an influencer as well. But I'm a journalist, but I wanted to do things my way. It just comes from being an only child, girl. It's not like anything like, oh, this is the blueprint for what an influencer is in the sports space. It's just, I did things my way. And whether or not we get, like, the OG crew gets credit for it, doesn't matter. I know that sometimes we get a little discouraged about, the direction of things, but our contributions are forever. And we just have to sit with that and just knowing the impact that all 5 of us have made.
All 5 of it, and all doing different things. I love it. That was like, we really were in there, like, just it was crazy. So a few more things on this. I want to come to you on, what's one thing that you absolutely love about women's sports coverage right now?
I love the different perspectives. I love that we can have the X's and O's. I love that we can have the fashion talks. I love that we can have the critiques. I love that we can have the celebration. And I love that we can exploit the people who want to invest in it. Like, we can really, it's not giving guilt them into it, but like they're eager to pay for women's sports now. So, take that investment, right? Like, this is the time to really capitalize off on people's willingness to support and invest in women's sports. That's
I
what I
love
love about it right now.
All right. What is one thing you'd like to evolve in the women's sports coverage space?
The history.
Mm,
Point blank period. I think that we have lost
Yes.
it somehow. We have lost the
mm.
history and the journalistic integrity of our legends, and everybody. No, we don't talk in absolutes. A lot of mainstream networks love to be reliant on the clickbait type of material when really the education needs to happen, because the major networks have the power to they're the machine, right? They can push whatever they want to push. And I want it to be not only historical leaning or just making people privy to what happened before this decade, but also expanding who they talk about so that we can have just a vast knowledge of everybody.
Period. I love that. And I love also how I sent you a rundown and have gone off script multiple times.
I ain't looking at that thing, girl.
Girl, listen, I just wanted you to be ready.
I didn't look at that thing. I did
but
not
that's
look.
okay. That's okay, because what I didn't have on the script, but that we're going to talk about, because I know you a real one. Now I know you know what this is. This is our OG pin.
Yes.
Our OG pin.
Period.
And so we launched with these, and as you know, it's the Black Women in Sports Media Hall of Fame. And so on the tip of going back to history, I want to ask you about some names that we put on our Black Rosie Media.
That
Hall
is
of
left
Fame.
field. Okay.
Yes. So Ari Chambers is on this list. I made the list, so y'all argue with a brick wall. But let's start with, you know what? I'm going to start with Claire Smith.
Oh God. Okay. Help me out.
Claire Smith was one of the first Black women specifically to be given access I think she was MLB locker rooms. So
And
like the
so-
whole let them wear towels 9 after 9. So like just Claire Smith, when you think of pioneers like that where women didn't have locker room access.
I would say, well, first of all, and this is the importance of that representation, right? This is the reason why we need an Erica L. Ayala in the world, because it's impossible for us to know every historical figure, right? But like just bringing awareness of that and educating me on that in this very moment in front of everybody is dope. Baseball's never been my thing, but knowing that she needs that access and to push and be innovative in that space is super important to my life right now. Without her, a lot of access would not be the same. And then you look at Title IX and it's in jeopardy, and that's a story for a different day. But you know what, we're lobbying up on the hill right now. But whatever. Anyway, the point is, without Title IX and without the pioneers who wanted to push that and were brave enough, especially Black women, my goodness, the fact that we are women is rebellious enough. The fact that we are Black women,
girl,
to have to be tasked with just it being placed on our hearts to be so innovative is kind of I had to be very careful with that, because we assume the responsibility to fix the world. There's so many of us that don't even know how much weight we're taking on as we just navigate through life, because we don't know any different. Like we don't know any differently than to have to be innovators and pioneers and really push the mold. And I don't realize how excellent we are, like how much we move through life with such a sense of rebellion and just being that point, that North Star, until I encounter the norm. And it's shocking that I'm going to take this back to something that Dawn Staley told me when I won her Excellence in Broadcasting Award in 2022. She said, "You handle everything with such grace." And I had so much resentment for that statement for so long, because we have had to handle everything with such grace while making everything around us better. And that's been so frustrating. So when I see your names on your pin, and I'm like, or on the background of your pin, I'm like, shout out to them, because without these innovators in the space, without their boldness, without them tasking themselves with these actions, there would be no landscape as we know it today.
Absolutely. And yes, Claire Smith is in the MLB Hall of Fame as a journalist. She was one of the women, going back to the 70s, really, that was, again, having to figure out how to hit deadline when teams were not giving locker room access. Now, locker room
we
access
barely
is a
had
whole-
water fountain access. I mean, like,
Listen,
please go for real.
Come on,
Anyway.
listen. But I mean, also on here, Jane Kennedy,
Yeah.
Soledad O'Brien.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you. You talked about. I find it so interesting and also relatable that you held on to what Dawn Staley said, and it was more of an indictment on the system that creates us having to work through shit than it was on what Dawn was saying. I think she wanted to lift you up
did,
and wade through that. But the fact that that has to be a part of our resilience story, on top of all of the like just human and professional things that people go through, and then that's compounded. So there are two people on here as well who I think in some ways are on the opposite sides of the spectrum, and then almost because of that, they connect the circle. And that is Jemele Hill and Robin Roberts. When I think of Robin Roberts, I think of the consummate professional. I think of grace. I think of faith. I think of care and love.
She can just keep it.
Yeah. And she's gone through so many things very publicly, including having to cover a natural health and covering a natural disaster when she didn't know if her family was okay. All of these women, some have gone on to do other things, but they all have roots in sports.
Yeah.
And then there's Jemele Hill, who is, you talk about being a journalist, and I think that the lines are so fuzzy and muddled and right now, but Jemele Hill, cut her teeth as a writer, for like school newspapers and local papers and things of that nature. And now we see her really taking on the difficult conversations that made you resent what Dawn Staley said. So you have, the grace on one side and then just the mouthpiece on the other.
Well, let me be very clear before I get to Jemele. With Dawn Staley, I think I was so frustrated because I see a woman who's so she's at the top. She is a North Star and she's so successful. And I know that her plight was that too. I know that she's had to be graceful. We witnessed it this year, right? Like she's had to be so graceful in all these situations. I know she was speaking from experience too. And I hate that she had to go through that because she has only been so open, so welcoming, so loving, so constructive in my life. And I think the world of her, and I have a strong disdain for any circumstance that forced her to have to be graceful. Now, Jemele told me, like, she modeled. I am a mini Jemele. Like, I think that I am built from the same cloth. And Jemele's had to walk me off of the ledge a couple of times when I get on my heavy political situations. Like, she's had to be like, here was my situation, and this is this is the risk that you're assuming when you put yourself in it. And she's given me the reality of what being outspoken and bold looks like. And I salute her because she has taken a lot of hits when she has been right. And that's the thing. A lot of people say things are subjective. No, some things are just right and wrong, period. Like, we can operate in absolutes in some things. And she's had opinions that were fact. They were based on, they just had all the information, and she should not have gotten in trouble for so many things that she said because she's smart, she's knowledgeable, she knows the context of things, and she just presents things a little too bold for the general public to digest often. But I don't think she's ever cared about being easily digestible because she's prepared and she's educated. And she speaks with the same conviction as kind of you do. Like, y'all are both like a little, you don't mind ruffling feathers because you know that it's based on a strong premise. Like, it just is. Like, I don't think people can handle smart women, smart Black women. I don't think people can handle just people just being knowledgeable. One of my mentors, Ebony K. Williams, very, very strong-minded woman. Like there's a trend here, right? Like we're all very much like,
Very.
but I think the world just wasn't ready for Jamel's delivery, and I don't think she cared, and that's what makes her so great.
Yeah. And does it while also being very tapped in culturally. And that was another part of, right, the kind of the revolutionary sports media coverage that she had. It was bringing the culture to the forefront. And now you can't find, as it should be, you can't find basketball coverage without the culture being front and center.
Yeah, and we know we are the culture. We make the culture. So like there's no one better. There's really no one better. But shout out to all those women, and shout out to you, because we are in this together. Okay.
I mean, well, now there's other people on this Hall of Fame. These are our OG pins. Love these.
Period.
But you're on here too. So in wrapping up, before we close out and talk a little bit more about the Liberty and the Torch Patrol and all of that stuff, how do you hope people classify and categorize your journalistic point of view?
That I push the game forward. Nothing more, nothing less. I want people to look at me and see that I'm synonymous with the growth of the women's game. And like I said, I always tell people this: take the vanity out of it, because it's not as flashing lights and glamorous as people think. I just know how to self-market, but I just want to be known as pushing the game forward, period.
Well, I mean, you already are that. We asked some of our loyal listeners and fans, what they wanted to extend to you. Moni saying, kudos for coining the WNBA is so important before the boom.
Thank you, Bookie.
Quote, it really meant a lot to people like myself who have been watching since 1997.
Tell her, be prepared. I got something coming for you.
Ooh, okay. Come on, Moni. Come on. Let's go. But we know that, again, we're going to come back to, we talked about this a little bit, but you were on the Torch Patrol. You also were at Knicks game. So, I mean, listen, the Knicks going to the finals. They might take on Oklahoma, which is going to be very interesting because, I live in Oklahoma right now.
You do.
I ain't got an affinity to neither one of them teams. You know what I mean? But
don't ask me no analyst questions, because I don't know these men.
I'm just going to be prepared for traffic. I'm just prepared for traffic.
Wait. Sidebar. I live right by where they're playing FIFA, and if there's a game 6 and FIFA, I'm doomed, because I won't be able to leave my house. Anyway, that's
yes.
That's my business.
Anyway, stock up. Make sure you have everything you need for your lattes. Let's
ridiculous.
Go.
Okay. One thing I will have is coffee.
But I mean, take me back to the MSG days. I mean, obviously the Knicks fans still get to enjoy that, but what was it like double dipping, being a part of just New York City basketball? Like, you can say what you want, and I certainly do, especially when it comes to the leadership that's happening over there in New York. But the vibe it's just a vibe. Even when I go there for hockey games, MSG is just a different.
Which I was on Blue Crew too.
Hey,
I was on Blue Crew too.
I mean, what was it like to be able to experience that and be a part of that energy and the excitable, sometimes a little bit unhinged behavior of New York fans?
It's funny because nobody's ever asked me about the Knicks side of things, so this is going to be interesting. I don't think I've ever let it process that I spent 5 to 6 nights a week at the world's most famous arena and doing t-shirt tosses and tumbling up and down the court. Like it doesn't process. But we had such traditions like go New York, go, like that chant still same.
New York Knicks.
Like to the very second I'm ready to run out for the quarter breaks with that song. So there's just such rich tradition. Any given night, you never know who's going to be on Celebro. It was really cool. Like that's the only way to say it. It was really cool, and to see it grow the way it has with game day entertainment and just the innovation they had. I remember we were tossing those giant balls down from a home opener, and then it went to a light show. Then it was a drone show one year. Like it just screams innovation, and you have a deep appreciation for how much excitement MSG generates. And now I can only imagine being a cheerleader or a dancer there now, because now they're winning. Because if we had that much excitement when it was the dark days of it, I can only imagine how hot they are now. But I mean, it was crazy on any given night. You never know who you're gonna run into. But also the away teams going in and out. This was like the height of like that teen superstar. So I think Dwayne was still playing. Like it was like that type of feel in any given night. And like this is when Steph was making his rise and Melo was still active. Like I just loved seeing my generation superstars every single night. And even like with Rangers, like Blue Crew was super fun. We had Dancing Larry and like just being able to wave the flag every time that they made a goal and like just be on the ice and do a t-shirt tosses from there. It was really cool. It was just really cool.
That seems really cool. Like that is such, especially in New York. I mean, I'm clearly biased because I grew up in New York. So I remember going to MSG. I remember, even though I didn't keep up with them because I could only take torture from one orange and blue team, and I chose the Mets. That's what I did. So there you go. But it's just a vibe in and of itself, so much to the fact that when I wanted to start a New York Liberty podcast, I knew it could only be named one thing.
Gotta get
up. That's the only thing, because to your point, the go New York, go. Like even today in Barclays, they play. There's like a very specific New York City nostalgia. And if you know what I'm saying? Like it just is what it is. So take us back to the days.
Oh my God. Look at Maddie.
When you were hanging out with Maddie, this is, I believe, at Columbia, right?
Yeah. So the preseason games, sometimes they would have them in different places. This is like showing you the growth of women's basketball. Look, this was like, I think this was maybe right before tip off. Look at how many people were there and just being a part of that growth was crazy. But we'd had a couple of preseason games in Columbia. I believe this was my second or third season. We had gotten the skirts back, thank the Lord, because the season before we had Bermuda shorts, and Lord help it all. But our home openers were fun. I remember there's one year we went 10 in a row, but then Christy Tolliver lit us up in playoffs, and it was the one and done back then, which it was just like cutthroat. Okay. Y'all had to be there. I mean, I'm sure the audience here was there, but like, I just remember the Mystics were just raining on us, and Christy Tolliver had the game of her life.
Tolliver. Oh my God.
And then I remember when Tina Charles had an MVP type season in 2016.
Oh, don't even get me started. 2016.
It's literally just me and you that are like this passionate about it. But Tina Charles in her 2016 getting Player of the Month literally every month.
And
it was
not
getting MVP. It was kind of crazy.
Tight.
Lewis said he remembers me on the Torch Patrol. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, it was me. It was me.
Yes. That's Ari. And again, that E, I'm telling you.
E sign every time. I didn't play by that E sign. One time they were like, get the L. No.
And no,
I'm not doing that. You take the L. I'm getting the E.
L.
The E was mine.
This is the E that is featured in our logo for Gotta Get Up. There you go.
But Maddie was very much a fixture, just like Ellie.
Yes.
Like people don't give Maddie their things.
No, right.
Anyway, Maddie had lashes, but also anyways. But the point is, don't give Maddie their things. Maddie, collect all your things because you're an OG.
I love it. And we got some OGs here, as you can tell, including you, Ari. But I mean, listen, this is hopefully going to be a really good run for the Knicks. I do love this for Knicks fans. But before we close, and again, if you have any questions or comments, you better put them in now because we about to be out. But we have to ask, let's go back to the beginning, right? Is it time to panic for this New York Liberty squad? I think we can agree it ain't great. Like, we're not out here trying to make excuses. And is it officially time to panic?
It is not time to panic, you all. We are still in May, I believe. Brianna Stewart said it best. If they're going to have a bad patch, a rough patch, it's better to have it now because you want to rise and peak later on. So, I mean, granted, it's not great to have a 3-game skid, but they still have the chance to grab their fate by the reins and reel it back in. So do not panic.
Don't panic.
It is fine. It's not fine, but it's going to be fine because they're going to make adjustments.
There you go.
They're going to get their full roster. We're going to speak health over them, but you all can exhale because they see. I mean, Maureen even said it. They're going to be watching film, and it's probably not going to be pleasant when they watch it. Okay, and so they are very knowledgeable that some things have to be fixed. But one thing I did like, because of the unstructured offense, that I don't know if they're going to change or not, is it's hard to scout them. So once they get the whole defense part locked down and the effort and energy locked down for a full 40 minutes, they'll be fine. They'll be fine.
It's the energy for me. It's the energy for me, because here's what it is. And I've said this before on this program, so some of y'all already know where I'm going with this. You can't play for a New York team and not act like you out of your mind for New York.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
I need the sandpaper. I need the moxie. I need you to get delusional. Someone, put oat milk in your latte. I don't know.
Okay.
I need you to take exception to every dang thing and act like you a savage out here.
And that's what I do. They need a dog. And I remember when Courtney played with JJ on Connecticut and said, I got to tell JJ she's a dog because she's a dog. I want JJ to own that dog this year. If she owns that dog, it can change the mentality of the entire team. And that it might be putting too much pressure on her, but I feel like she's in position to assume that pressure. She's a super vet. She's a part of this core group that came to New York together, that decided they wanted to shift the entire legacy of New York Liberty basketball and get what they want. And they got that. So you just got to refine your grit. And we see where it went. We know where it went, but they need to find somebody within this roster right now.
Come on.
Who can be that dog that can we see with Atlanta, right? Atlanta had all the talent, right? Last year, they
needed a dog.
They second overall last year. They added Angel. She's a dog.
A dog.
And Ryan Howard said it herself. Angel doesn't let us give up. She doesn't let us look sorry for ourselves because she has that dog in her. She'll be like, y'all need to get a little riled up, and you see where they're sitting. Number one.
Come on.
Get the dog.
Let's go. Where my dogs at? not Okay, swung over asking this question. As someone relatively new to pro basketball, what are the usual reasons why a team would do great for 3 games, then suddenly do a 180 and not do great for a few?
Well, in this case, health. Health and then lack of effort. But yes. I think that there are circumstances where if you see their injury report, I will just blanketly answer this as who's available for you to play and the matchups. Some matchups favor others, and when you have somebody who doesn't have like CD will say that himself, and Stewie said it too, when you have a lapse of defense in the fourth quarter against a team who's so great in the fourth quarter, that's a recipe for disaster, right? So like matchups and health, I think, are the 2 biggest things right there.
I would agree. I mean, not you saying I heard what you said. I just had to take a minute to get back to it. We know where the dog went. I heard you. Come on, Ari. Come on now.
That's one of my best friends, so let me shut up. Anyway.
Listen, but come on. Like, I mean, listen, you don't have to be from New York, but you got to play like you're from here, because that's what New York basketball at all levels, we tap you with that. You know what I'm saying? And you have to bring it. And this squad is relying too much on Stewie to pull that. Like, Sis had to play basically all the minutes with 3 fouls and did. And almost got that. Well, not almost. Did get that team a lead just for it to peter out over like silly things. Like y'all gotta really tighten that up.
I see Damien's comment of this Liberty team is already in trouble, so why bother watching them? Baby, it's 7 games in. Y'all will be fine. Like, I imagine if you were an Aces fan last year. I mean, there was grounds for them to like not pay attention anymore, and then they went completely undefeated until they weren't went 17-1 to finish out the season and ended up with a championship. Anything can change. This league has more parity than we've seen. This league, like, you haven't even seen your full team. I think that there's a way to come at it more positively, and a lot of New York fans are diehard anyway, so that's another reason to keep rooting for them. And there are a lot of veterans on that team that can really gather the girls as long as they gather.
Yeah. And Damien, come on now. Let's not do this. Let's not.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's still the Liberty. Like, I mean, like they'll be fine. Like, just give them a second. They're gonna be fine.
They're gonna be all right. I'm waiting for Phoebik to come back. Like, and I kind of called it. Like, we know Banajali Hamilton right now is out because of personal reasons, but she also did miss some time. I think that we might have to have a conversation at some point, and that point might be coming sooner than I thought, on whether it makes sense to have Benaja in that starting lineup, or assuming that both are available to have Leo in that starting lineup. And I think right now we might need to, see how it all pans out. But Benaja, I think similarly to Stewie, we put a lot of responsibility on Benaja.
But you know what? It's going to help the defense, child. That's for sure. If nothing else, Benaja is going to be there and lock down somebody.
Now we break it into our emergency storm supply.
Everybody relax.
You heard it. Relax. Well, we are going to relax and get up out of here, but we appreciate y'all stopping through for another episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. My co-host Brian Florentin, he is enjoying the travel on vacation, a well-deserved vacation. That brother be working, okay? But he will have a newsletter for you again, the Women's Basketball Roundup. If you are not already a subscriber, go ahead and do that. And of course, we have to thank Ari Chambers for coming through, the OG to highlight her, okay? OG to do all of the things here. A great voice for women coming up in sports media, always takes the time to help people out and encourage people, even like myself. We all have our own paths, and it has been truly an honor to have you as part of my sisterhood in this work, but also to get to know you and to call you friends. So thank you, my friend. I love you.
We are in this together, and I love you right back.
We're all in this together. That was well after my time, but I still know about the High School Musical. All right, like Amir said, we got to get out of here. But the way we leave, Ari, I know you haven't been on Gotta Get Up in a while, but we do an Ellie wave up out of here. So and then we box out. I know that's right. Swung over. Let's go.
Ellie wave and box out.
That's it. All right, y'all ready? Let's Ellie wave. Thank you for joining us for Gotta Get Up. We'll catch you next week. Peace out, everybody.